Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive.
Yeah.
And we're going to be looking at emergency response coordinators. So these are the people who, when everything's going wrong,
Yeah.
they're the ones who stay cool and keep things.
They're the calm in the storm.
Exactly. They're the calm in the storm.
It's like being a conductor.
Yeah.
But instead of instruments, you've got like firefighters and police officers and all the other emergency responders.
That's a high-stakes orchestra.
It is. And you're coordinating them all to achieve that common goal.
Now, to help us kind of break this role down, we've got two resources from RoleCatcher.
Yeah.
We've got the career guide, which gives us the big picture.
Right.
And then we've got the interview guide, which is going to help people who are actually looking to get a job as an emergency response coordinator.
And the best part is RoleCatcher goes even further than that.
Yeah.
They've got this AI
Hey.
that can actually give you personalized feedback
Wow.
on your answers.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so you can really tailor those responses to the specific job you're after.
That's great. We'll definitely have to talk about that later in the episode.
Yeah.
But first, let's unpack what an emergency response coordinator actually does.
Okay.
So the career guide starts with this really dramatic line.
Okay.
Imagine being at the forefront of disaster preparedness and response, working tirelessly to ensure the safety and well-being of your community.
Yeah, no kidding. It definitely grabs your attention, right?
Yeah, it really sets the stage.
Yeah, and I think it really captures the essence of this role, right?
Yeah.
It's not just reacting to emergencies. It's that meticulous planning
Yeah.
that goes on beforehand, analyzing all those potential risks.
Right.
And then you have to come up with those intricate strategies.
So you're like the architect of calm
Yeah,
amidst chaos.
exactly.
That's a great way to put it.
And we can't forget that you've got to stay on top of all those changing safety regulations.
Oh, yeah, of course, because it's not all about just sitting at a desk pushing papers.
Right, an emergency response coordinator. They need to be comfortable, working in potentially hazardous conditions.
Yeah.
You got irregular hours,
Of course.
and you might even be on call.
While everybody else is sleeping.
Exactly.
So this sounds like a job where you need to be resilient and adaptable.
Absolutely.
But every job has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
So what does the career guide say
Okay.
about the reality of being an emergency response coordinator?
Well, on the plus side, you're looking at really high job satisfaction. You're making a real difference in people's lives.
Right.
And you've got those opportunities to grow and advance.
That sounds great, but let's not sugarcoat it. What about the downsides? What are some of the challenges?
Well, you need to be prepared for some pretty high stress levels.
Right.
The hours can be long,
Yeah.
and it can be emotionally demanding.
Of course, because you're dealing with
Yeah.
real people.
Real people in crisis.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like you really need to have a passion for this kind of work. All right, so I think we've got a good overview of the role. Now let's jump into the interview prep.
Okay.
I know a lot of people listening are probably thinking about applying for these jobs.
Right.
And the interview is a really important part of that.
Absolutely.
The RoleCatcher Interview Guide has got 9 questions that you might be asked. And
9.
we're going to break down every single one of them, starting with,
Okay.
can you explain your experience with emergency response planning?
Oh, yeah. That's a classic.
Now, it might seem straightforward,
Yeah.
but there's definitely more to it than just listing out your past roles.
Exactly. It's not about just like a laundry list.
Right.
They want to see the depth of your experience, how you've actually applied your skills, what challenges you faced.
So it's about telling your story.
Your emergency response story.
Okay, so how would you approach this question?
So to really stand out,
Yeah.
you need to focus on concrete examples
Right.
from your past roles.
Yeah.
Don't just say, I developed emergency response plans. Walk them through it.
It's like a specific plan.
A specific plan. What kind of emergency was it for? What were the key parts of that plan?
Right.
What obstacles did you have to overcome?
Yeah. And what impact did your plan actually have?
Right. Did it lead to a smoother response? Did it help to mitigate potential damage?
And quantify your impact?
Whenever possible.
If you could put numbers to it,
Yeah.
do it and let that passion for planning come through.
I love it. Okay, so what are some things to avoid?
Okay, so definitely stay away from vague statements.
Like what?
Like, I'm a great planner.
Yeah.
That's just telling, not showing.
Yeah, you need to back up those claims
Yes.
with evidence.
With evidence.
Okay, great advice. So moving on to question number 2. How do you manage and prioritize tasks during an emergency response situation?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right, because you could have so many things happening at once.
It could.
Decisions need to be made quickly.
Yeah.
It's high pressure.
It's a real test.
Of how you can stay calm and organized and effective under pressure.
Yeah, they want to see that you can think clearly when everything else is going crazy.
Exactly.
How do you convey that?
Well, walk them through your process.
Okay.
Do you use a specific method
Yeah.
for prioritizing?
Like a system.
How do you determine which tasks are critical
Right.
and which ones can wait?
Okay.
Do you have a way to communicate with your team and keep everybody in the loop when things are really hectic?
That's really important.
It is be specific
Yep.
and showcase your ability to think clearly and act fast.
So what should we avoid saying?
Don't give those generic answers.
Like
I just handle things one at a time.
Right.
You need to show them that you understand prioritization in a high-stakes environment.
Yeah. Okay, question number 3. Can you provide an example of how you've implemented new technology or tools to improve emergency response efforts?
Oh, I like this one.
Yeah, because this is where you can show that you're forward thinking and that you're not afraid to embrace new things.
But you're keeping up with the times.
Yeah, so what would make a really compelling answer?
Well, you want to talk about a specific instance where you saw a need for improvement.
Right?
So was there like a communication bottleneck?
Okay.
Or were there delays in accessing information?
Yeah.
Okay, then walk them through what you did.
So how did you choose the technology? How did you implement it?
Yeah.
What was the impact?
Right. Did it streamline things?
Yeah.
Did it improve data analysis?
Okay.
Make sure you highlight those results.
Okay, so tangible results
Yes.
are key.
Quantifiable results.
I like it. And what should people avoid saying?
Okay, so don't just say like, I'm tech savvy or I embrace new technology.
Those are buzzwords.
They are.
Okay.
The interviewer wants specifics.
So tell them about the actual technology you used.
Exactly. What were the challenges you faced? How did you measure its success?
Okay, so concrete examples are really important here.
They are your best friend.
Question number 4. How do you ensure compliance with regulatory requirements during emergency response efforts?
Okay, so this one might seem a little bit dry.
Yeah.
Compared to like...
The high action.
Yeah, all the action we've been talking about.
But it is really important.
Compliance is the foundation for safe and effective emergency response.
And they want to know that you're not going to cut corners.
Right.
When things get tough.
Especially when things get tough.
So how do you show them that you've got this covered?
So be specific about how you stay informed about those regulations. Do you like subscribe to newsletters?
Okay.
Attend workshops?
Right.
How do you make sure your team is up to date?
Yeah, how do you integrate compliance into your plans?
Do you have a system for documenting what you do during an emergency?
These are all really important things.
They are, and the interviewer wants to see that you've got a system, that you're proactive about it.
Yeah, and that you're not going to let things slip through the cracks.
Exactly.
All right, so what are some things to avoid saying?
Don't downplay compliance. Like, oh, we'll worry about the paperwork later, or rules are meant to be broken.
Yeah, those are red flags.
Huge red flags.
Okay.
They want to see that you're committed to ethical and compliant practices.
So it's just as important as being able to manage the chaos.
It is.
All right, question number 5. Can you describe your experience working with government agencies and emergency response partners?
Oh, this is a good one.
Now, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but
yeah,
it seems like collaboration is super important in this field.
It's at the heart of it.
Because you're rarely going to be working alone.
You're not. You're going to have a whole network of people.
Right. Different agencies, different organizations.
And they all have their own expertise.
Yeah, so they want to know that you can build relationships and work with all these different people.
Yeah, even when things are crazy.
Even when things are crazy. So how do you show them that?
Well, think about specific collaborations that you've been a part of. Have you worked with a government agency on a training exercise?
Yeah.
Or maybe you partnered with a local organization?
To do community outreach?
Exactly.
Okay.
Talk about those experiences where you had to coordinate with different people.
Right.
Maybe you had to share information.
Yeah.
Or even resolve some conflicts.
So what were the goals of those collaborations?
Yeah. What challenges did you face?
What did you learn?
Right. Because you want to show them that you're a great collaborator.
And that you can handle those complex relationships.
Exactly.
And what are some common mistakes to avoid?
Okay, so don't just list the agencies you worked with.
Right, because that's just a list.
Like a laundry list.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell a story.
Yeah, so they want to know about the dynamics of those collaborations. What was your role?
Right. What did you learn about working with different agencies?
Okay, Question number 6. How do you ensure the safety and well-being of your team members during emergency response efforts?
Oh, that's a big one.
This one's all about leadership, right?
It is. You can't be a good leader
Right.
if you don't care about your team.
You have to care about their physical safety
Mm-hmm.
and their mental and emotional well-being.
Absolutely.
So how do you demonstrate that you're the kind of leader
Okay.
who people can trust?
Well, you want to talk about specific safety protocols?
Okay.
What kind of training do you provide to make sure everybody's prepared for those hazards?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have communication systems
Yeah.
to keep everybody connected?
These are all so important.
They are. And, how do you deal with stress and fatigue
Right.
within your team?
Because that's going to happen
It is.
in a crisis.
Yeah. So you want to show them that you've thought about these things.
Yeah.
And that you have a plan.
Okay, so what should we avoid saying?
Okay. Well, avoid empty assurances.
Like what?
Like, oh, I always put my team first.
Right.
Or I would never put them in harm's way.
Yeah.
Those are just words.
Yeah.
You need to give concrete examples
Okay.
of how you've kept your team safe,
Yeah?
how you've supported them,
Because actions speak louder than words.
especially in this field.
Okay, question number 7. Can you describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision during an emergency response situation?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, because in a crisis, tough calls
Yeah,
are inevitable.
they are. And the interviewer wants to know how you handle that pressure.
Right.
What's your judgment like?
Yeah, what are your decision-making skills?
They want to see you think on your feet.
Okay, so how do you pick the right example?
Okay, so choose a situation that was really challenging,
Okay.
where there was no easy answer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you had conflicting information
Right.
or limited resources.
Right.
Describe the situation
Concisely.
concisely.
Yeah.
What were your options? Then tell them how you made your decision.
Yeah. What factors did you consider
Yeah. What were the risks and benefits?
of each option?
Mm-hmm. And explain why you chose what you chose.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to talk about the outcome.
Yeah. Did it work out the way you hoped?
Right? Were there any unintended consequences?
And what did you learn from that experience?
Mhm.
That's really important.
It is.
So what are some common mistakes?
Okay, so don't choose an example that makes you look indecisive
Right.
or reckless.
Mm-hmm.
You want to find that balance
Yeah.
between showing them that you can make tough calls,
Yeah.
but also that you understand the gravity of the situation.
Right.
Don't pretend like you had all the answers.
Be honest
Ew.
and show that you can learn
Yeah.
from your experiences.
Absolutely.
Okay, question number 8. How do you stay up to date with the latest emergency response trends and technologies?
This is so important.
It is, because this is a field that's constantly changing.
Constantly.
There are always new technologies coming out,
Your best practices.
right? So they want to know that you're committed to learning.
To continuous learning.
Yeah, that you're not just relying on what you learned in school
Right.
10 years ago.
Exactly.
So how do you show them that?
Well, you want to be specific about how you learn.
Right?
Do you go to conferences?
Yeah.
Do you read journals?
Uh-huh.
Take online courses? Maybe
Mhm.
you have a mentor.
Mhm.
Talk about any new developments that you've learned about
Yeah.
and how you've applied them to your work.
Right, because it's one thing to learn about it,
Yeah.
but it's another thing to actually put it into practice.
Exactly.
What are some things to avoid?
Okay.
Yeah.
So don't just say, I read a lot
Right.
or I stay informed.
Yeah, those are vague.
Too vague.
Okay.
Give them concrete examples of
Yeah.
your learning habits.
All right, and finally, question number 9. How do you ensure that emergency response efforts are inclusive and equitable for all individuals?
That's a great question.
So this one's about social responsibility.
It is.
Yeah.
And awareness.
Because in an emergency,
Yeah.
sometimes vulnerable populations.
Right. Are disproportionately affected.
So they want to see that you're sensitive to these issues,
Yes.
that you understand the importance of diversity
Of equity
and
or-
inclusion.
Yeah.
How do you approach this question?
Okay, so think about the strategies you've used
Mhm.
to make sure that everyone is included in
Yeah.
your emergency response plans.
Have you thought about accessibility for people with disabilities?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have ways to communicate with people who speak different languages?
Yes.
Have you partnered with
Hmm.
community organizations
Right.
to reach underserved populations? Those are all great examples.
And you want to show them that you've gone beyond just talking about it.
Yeah.
That you've actually taken action.
Put it into practice.
Exactly.
What should people avoid saying?
Okay, so don't just say that you treat everyone equally.
Right.
While that's a good sentiment, it doesn't really show that you understand the complexities of this
Yep.
issue.
So give them concrete examples of your actions.
Yes, show them how you've addressed those disparities.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground
Well, you have.
just on those 9 questions alone.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
And I'm sure some people are feeling a little overwhelmed.
Right.
But that's where RoleCatcher's AI comes in.
Exactly.
It can help you to process all of this information.
It can, and it can give you personalized feedback.
That's amazing.
So imagine having a coach
Yeah,
who can analyze your answers and tell you how to improve.
that would be a game changer.
It would, and it can even tailor your responses
Wow.
to the specific job you're applying for.
That's incredible.
It is.
So it's not just about practicing your answers, it's about getting those insights that can really make a difference.
Exactly. And this kind of targeted practice
Yeah.
is so powerful,
Especially for a role like this.
where the stakes are so high.
All right, so we've explored the core responsibilities
Yeah.
of an emergency response coordinator.
We have.
We've dove deep into those interview questions.
We did.
But there's still so much more to learn
There is.
about this career.
So stay tuned, because we're going to delve into career paths,
Yeah?
growth opportunities, and all the resources that can help you to navigate this challenging, rewarding journey.
I can't wait.
Me too. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of emergency response coordinators.
It's been a really insightful look at this career so far.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. We talked about what they do.
Yeah.
We broke down some tough interview questions.
Those are some tricky ones.
And we even saw how RoleCatcher's AI can help you prepare for those interviews.
That AI is pretty amazing.
It really is. But getting ready for an interview is about more than just answering the questions, right?
You're right. It's about seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah, like what does growth actually look like in this field?
That's where the RoleCatcher Career Guide comes in.
Okay, so let's map out that career trajectory. What kind of advancement paths does the guide highlight?
Well, it shows you some really exciting possibilities.
Like what?
Well, a natural progression would be to move into a senior emergency response coordinator position.
Okay, so you'd be taking on more responsibility.
Yeah, leading a team, mentoring newer coordinators.
And having a bigger impact on the organization.
Exactly.
What else is there?
From there, you could even become an emergency management director,
Wow.
overseeing a whole team of professionals.
So you'd be shaping the overall strategy.
Right, for your organization or even your entire community.
That's a huge role.
It is.
Okay, any other paths?
Well, the guide also mentions the possibility of becoming an emergency operations center manager.
Now that sounds intense.
It is, you'd be leading the team that coordinates those real-time responses.
During an actual emergency.
Yeah, you're in the heart of the action, making those critical decisions.
That's a lot of pressure.
It is, but it's also incredibly rewarding.
So it's clear that no matter which path you choose, continuous learning is essential.
It is. This field is always changing.
Yeah, how do you even stay ahead of the curve?
Well, the guide suggests a few things.
Okay, like what?
Pursuing advanced degrees or certifications.
Okay.
Attending industry conferences and workshops.
So you can learn from the experts.
Exactly, and network with other professionals.
Yeah, because those connections can be so valuable.
They really can.
The guide also talks about online training programs.
Right.
And finding a mentor.
It's all about building that support system.
And never stop learning.
Never stop learning.
Okay, so the career guide also breaks down the different experience levels.
It does.
Starting with entry-level emergency response coordinator. What would someone in that role typically be doing?
Well, at that level, think of yourself as an apprentice.
Okay.
You're learning the ropes, assisting with tasks like analyzing risks,
Okay.
supporting the development of strategies, and helping to educate others.
So it's all about absorbing knowledge.
Yes, and shadowing those more experienced professionals.
And the guide even has an example profile
It does.
for someone at that stage.
Right. They describe them as enthusiastic and dedicated.
Okay. With a strong interest in emergency response.
So they have the passion
They do.
and the foundational knowledge.
And they're eager to learn.
All right, what about a junior emergency response coordinator?
Okay, so at this level, you're starting to take on more responsibility.
Okay.
You're actively analyzing risks, contributing to strategy development.
Okay.
You're outlining guidelines,
Right.
educating stakeholders,
Yeah.
and you're coordinating the testing of those response plans.
So you're really putting those skills into practice.
You are.
What about the personality and skill set?
So for this role, they describe someone who's proactive
Okay.
and detail-oriented. They're not just following instructions.
Right.
They're coming up with their own ideas.
And challenging the status quo.
Exactly.
Okay, let's jump ahead a bit.
Okay.
What about a senior emergency response coordinator?
At this level, you're stepping into a true leadership role.
Okay.
You're guiding and mentoring others, making decisions that impact the entire organization. So what are some of the key responsibilities?
Well, you're leading the analysis of potential risks,
Okay.
developing those comprehensive strategies, overseeing the creation of guidelines,
Right.
educating stakeholders,
Right.
and managing the testing of those plans.
It sounds like a lot of pressure.
It can be.
What kind of experience and skills do you need?
They describe someone with a proven track record
Okay.
in analyzing risks and developing strategies.
So years of experience.
Yes.
Deep understanding of risk management.
And strong leadership skills.
That makes sense.
It does.
All right, finally, let's talk about the top tier.
Okay.
Principal Emergency Response Coordinator.
Now, at this level, you're not just reacting to emergencies.
Okay.
You're shaping how the entire organization prepares for them.
Wow.
You're the visionary, the strategist, the mentor.
So you're making sure everyone is ready for anything.
Exactly.
What kind of person excels in this role?
Well, they describe someone who's highly accomplished with a proven ability to analyze and implement strategies.
So they've got a wealth of experience.
Yes, they've been through it all.
And they're constantly learning.
Right. They might have multiple certifications.
They're seen as a thought leader.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's clear that there's a ton of growth potential in this field,
There is.
but it takes a lot of dedication.
And passion.
And that's where RoleCatcher comes in.
Right.
It's not just about getting the job.
Uh-huh.
It's about having the tools and resources you need to succeed.
To thrive in that role.
So let's recap all the resources we've talked about today.
Okay.
We've got the career guide,
Yes.
which gives us that overview of the role, the career paths, the skills.
Right.
Then there's the interview guide with those real questions, expert
Key
insights,
strategies.
and of course the AI that can give us personalized feedback.
And tailor our answers to specific jobs.
And that's not all.
Oh, no, there's more.
RoleCatcher has a whole suite of tools and
A
resources
whole ecosystem.
to help you manage your job search,
Connect with employers.
develop your skills.
Advance your career.
It's like having a personal career coach in your pocket.
It really is.
Okay, so we've explored the responsibilities, the career paths, the resources,
We have.
but there's one more thing we need to talk about.
Okay, what's that?
Mindset.
Oh, that's crucial.
It is. Because acing an interview isn't just about saying the right things.
Right.
It's about having the right attitude.
Projecting confidence.
Yeah, and showing them who you are.
Your authentic self.
Exactly. So stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive
Where we'll delve into the mindset and strategies.
that will help you shine in that interview and beyond.
I can't wait.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been talking about what it takes to be an emergency response coordinator,
It's a challenging role.
but also so rewarding.
Absolutely.
We've gone through the skills, the responsibilities, the career paths, and we've even seen how RoleCatcher's AI can help with the interview process.
It's amazing how personalized that prep can be.
It really is. But before we wrap things up, I think it's important to talk about mindset,
Oh, yeah. Mindset is crucial.
because acing an interview is not just about reciting the perfect answers.
Right. It's about showing them who you are.
Yeah, your passion, your commitment, your values.
And remember that line from the career guide?
Oh, yeah. Imagine being at the forefront.
Of disaster preparedness and response.
They want to see that spark,
That passion in your eyes.
that you're not just there for a job.
Right. That you genuinely want to make a difference.
Yes. So how do you convey that authenticity?
We'll talk about what drew you to this field.
Okay.
What motivates you to do this work.
Mhm.
Let your passion be your guide.
Because those authentic answers
Yeah.
are going to resonate a lot more.
Way more than just a rehearsed script.
I love it. Okay. So passion is key.
It is.
But what other qualities are they looking for?
Well, think back to those core skills we talked about.
Like problem solving.
Yeah. Service orientation coordinating.
Those aren't just skills. They're reflections of a certain mindset.
A way of thinking, a way of being.
So they're looking for someone who's calm, under pressure,
Yeah, someone who can think strategically,
act decisively,
collaborate with a team.
and always strive to improve.
Exactly. And remember, they're not just listening to your words.
Right.
They're watching your body language,
Your demeanor.
how you carry yourself.
Yeah. So project confidence, but don't be arrogant.
All right, be enthusiastic, but not overbearing.
Find that balance.
Yes,
Okay. So here's a thought experiment for everyone listening.
I like this.
Think about a recent disaster or emergency.
Something that really made an impact.
Okay.
Now, put yourself in the shoes of an emergency response coordinator.
Wow.
How would you have approached that situation?
What challenges would you have faced?
What strategies would you have used?
That's a really great exercise.
It forces you to think critically,
And apply what you've learned to a real-world situation.
Yeah, and that kind of thinking is what's going to make you stand out in an interview.
It shows them that you're not just talking the talk.
Right, you're walking the walk.
You're ready for the challenge.
You are.
All right, so that brings us to the end of our deep dive.
Yeah, what a journey.
It has been. We've learned so much about emergency response coordinators.
About what it takes to excel in this role.
But remember, this is just the beginning.
Right.
The full career guide, the interview guide, all of those amazing AI tools.
They're all waiting for you on RoleCatcher.
So go check them out.
And go into that interview with confidence.
Knowing that you've got the knowledge, the skills, and the passion to succeed.
Because the world needs more people like you.
Dedicated and compassionate individuals who are ready to make a difference.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
And good luck with your job, sir.
We're cheering for you.